Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a great show today. I have a very special guest, and it's going to be a wonderful, we'll be talking about the Beatles. Obviously, we are doing a tribute to the Beatles. Even though it's February 7th, we're going to also be talking about February 9th, which is two days away. It's a big event here for us because that was also when the Beatles came out on February 9th at the Ed Sullivan Show. I have a few people that have given me some things to read for them, and one of them I'm going to read is by Joyce Conrad. Joyce was a legendary promoter in the Bay Area. She promoted so many different people. She supported Peter Wheaton, the Breadmen, a Raisin Band, the Optical Illusion, the Morning Rain, the Misanthropes. She's done so much work, and she's no longer with us, but she did this for me, and it's called The Beatles. I'll never forget the Ed Sullivan Show on February 9th, 1964. That was the day the whole country of the United States stopped at what they were doing to sit and listen and watch what all the American kids were talking about, the Beatles.
The Beatles, bring them on!
A group of young men from England. Not only kids, but parents like myself wanted to know what these young men have what we don't have here. Same music instruments, no gimmicks, but they were so different. Each member had a glow that made their personality come through. To keep your attention on the group, trying and looking at each other. Man, that was so hard to do with each member having their own personality. The English accent added to their charm. With their clean-cut appearance, they had it, and I could see it. They were in for the long haul. Ironically, 2 years later, I was in the music scene as a rock and roll promoter. I booked bands, and I could see some tried to copy the Beatles, close but not close enough. No one could match the sound of the Beatles. But on that day, on February 9th, 1964, on the Ed Sullivan Show, I admit, I was taken by the Beatles, and for a while, I couldn't get them out of their mind. They were great. No other band in my lifetime have I felt this feeling before. That's the great Joyce Conrad. I'm going to read another one. This gentleman was Barry Carlos, and he was also a promoter, and he had his own band when he was playing. Here's Barry on the Ed Sullivan appearance. It was widely recognized that when the sun went down on Sunday, February 9th, 1964, just about everyone had gathered around a TV set at 8 o'clock, and by 9 o'clock, many potential young musicians and singers discarded their old toys and either picked up a guitar, begged their mom and dad for a drum set, and exchanged their classic keyboard styles in the favor of the beat of rock and roll. Yes, this was the evening that the Beatles first appeared on Ed Sullivan Show. And when the 1 hour program was over, the world was set course to experience something vastly sweeping, a cultural change. As I noted, many budding entertainers began their careers on this night, but that was not the case with me. From upon my graduation from high school in 1960, I traded my school band clarinet for a raunchy growl of a tenor sax and my own 5-piece rock and roll band. I had just recently got married, and my wife and I were up at Lake Tahoe on this infamous weekend. On the previous Wednesday, the band and I were winding up a rehearsal, and the talk turned up to something about the performance of the Beatles. We all agreed that we would stop whatever we were doing and tune in. I remember being especially curious on how well this new phenomena would receive, because rock and roll, at least for me, had become just a little nanny-panny. Oh yes, we did have a good beat and material coming from the Beatles, Jan and Dean and Jackie Wilson, but there were far too many songs like Go Away Little Girl, Rhythm of the Rain, and Blue Velvet topping the charts for my taste. Please don't get me wrong, they were all good tunes, but not just the kind of songs that we could play at a dance and had a piece and trying to be really cool and rockin'. As I planned, when 7 o'clock rolled around, I left the blackjack table and Harrison went searching for my wife. When I found her, she informed me that she was far too busy playing the slot machine to concern herself with just another rock and roll band. I smiled, and then I quickly exited the casino and proceeded the short distance down the Highway 50 to our nearby motel. The country was still on a downer over the assassination of President Kennedy, and the people really needed something to smile about. As the Beatles started their set, I found myself smiling plenty, and by the time they finished their song, I Want to Hold Your Hand, I shut off the TV, and I was glad that I didn't finish it off. Hold on. Thank you, Barry, for giving me that. I guess I lost your page. I'm sorry about that. The other one was a lady that I've known. I was glued to the set on February 9th, and all of a sudden there was no one in the room but the Beatles and me. Even though my whole family and my mom and dad and sister were in there watching with me, I was in my own little world. It was so impressionable for an 11-year-old girl who was totally caught up in the magic of the Beatles and their music. Those four lads from England were my first crush. Personally for me, Paul McCartney was my heartthrob of heartthrobs. We'll probably read a couple more, but I got a very special guest here tonight. And he has a very great story about the Beatles. He was at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He did some performing there. But I like to bring this man up because I played on the same stages with him on July 4th in the mid-60s when we were playing at the Naval Air Station in front of about between 15 to 20,000. His band was one of the great bands of our time, local bands. It was Peter Wheaton of Breadman, and I like to bring up Bob Birdwell. Bobby, come on up here, man. It's so great to see you, brother. How are you, man?
Good to see you.
It's good to see you, man. Sit down, man, and relax. Bob, it's so great to see you, man, and we came in a rainstorm.
Well, boy, it's a adequate storm out there.
It's totally an adequate storm up there. Let's talk about right now, you have some interesting stories about the Beatles, so tell me, on that August 31st in 1965, tell the story how you might have been the opening act of the Beatles. Tell that story.
Barry Carlos had arranged with KYA that we could open for the Beatles. We used to do a lot of promotional stuff for the radio station. We did their office parties, we did commercials, made commercials for their show. And at any rate, he got us, we asked, and he went to the KYA and they said, okay. And so we were kind of set. We were kind of set to open for the Beatles. And this is on August 31st, right, 1966. Mm-hmm. And nobody knew it was our last show, but we did want to open for the Beatles, and we got the okay. We were a member of Musicians Union 510 out of San Leandro, East Bay Musicians Union. And Local 6 in San Francisco insisted that it be a Local 6 band that opened for the Beatles.
Oh, that's sad.
The promoters, KYA, didn't really want another band, someone that they didn't know. Mm-hmm. So what they did was they got the Letterman Hospital band, the Letterman Army Base, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. Their band opened the show with a Star Spangled Banner, and that was it. That was the only Local 6 band to play. So, we got aced out, but it was still pretty exciting. We got free tickets.
Oh, so you went to the concert?
We were there, yeah.
So I want to ask you one question real quick. Could you just tip up your hat a little bit because we like to see your handsome face. There you are. Yeah, there you are. So you actually went to the concert on August
Absolutely, yes.
31st on 1965. Yes. Well, tell me how that was like.
It was pandemonium for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, screaming the whole time. There was a.
Did you scream?
No,
Okay.
not me.
Okay.
There was an armored car parked right at the stage, and we all speculated that the Beatles were in the armored car and would just pop out onto the stage. So we were watching the armored car, and we could see through the windows, we could see movement inside there, but we didn't know. There were some opening acts. I think
Circle, right?
the Circle was there. Procol Harum, I think. And maybe the Ronettes, I'm not sure, you know, back then. At any rate, when all that was done and it was time for the Beatles, they came out from the dugout carrying their guitars, and Ringo had his sticks, and they walked out of the dugout. So they weren't in the, well, we didn't understand what the armored car was there for. And so they got up, they did, I mean, unbelievable through the noise and a big stadium like that. They were something to behold. They really, really were a good band. They can hold up against any band of any generation. At any rate, when they were done, they got in the armored car, and the armored car drove them out of the stadium. So that's what it was there for.
Oh, so the armored car was placed next to the stage?
Right next to it.
So when they were done, they just drove away?
They got in the car and drove them out of the stadium.
How long did they play? About 24 minutes, 25 minutes? Or
I'd
whatever?
say longer, maybe 35, 40 minutes.
On that set, on the set that they played, what was your best song, or did you like them all?
You know,
Just seeing them was quite.
yeah, but I mean, you know, they did their 1966, so they were doing their older stuff, the stuff people wanted to hear.
Right.
You know, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and you know, all those songs. It was a fabulous, fabulous concert. I was glad I got to go. I wouldn't have gone. I wouldn't have bought tickets to go, but since they were given to us, we had a great time.
So did all of Peter Wheaton and Bredman go, or just a couple of you guys?
Seems to me that it was three of us. It was, I think, me and Roger, and I think Barry, our lead guitarist. Roger was the lead singer, and our roadie, a guy named Ray Paul. Those are the four of us that went. So Chuck didn't go, nor Terry. I believe that's what happened. And Terry could have been gone instead of Barry. I just don't recall.
So I'm going to go back to Barry. Barry, I found the paper here. So I'm going to go back to I Want to Hold Your Hand. I shut off the TV, and I couldn't wait to get home. Gather the band together and start learning their songs. I Saw Her Standing There was the first of many Beatle tunes to add it to our playlist. Still, even with the excitement of that night's performance, I simply had no idea just how great these four lads from England would be eventually bring forth. Just another rock and roll band? Laughing out loud? Hardly. Thank you, Barry, for that. So, when you were in the Peter Wheaton and Bredman, and you guys were in some ways a little bit controversial, you know, tell us about, was it you guys that had long hair and they wanted your school to cut your hair? What was that about?
Yeah, that was Roger and I at...
you guys made national news.
Oh, yeah. Newsweek magazine.
Exactly.
I had a guy come to me recently, and he researched all throughout the United States, all the articles in all the newspapers, Miami Herald, Atlanta Journal, and he sent me all the articles from all those newspapers.
Goodness. How beautiful was that?
So yeah, it was. So I have them all electronically. He got them off of the websites. At any rate, hundreds and hundreds of articles that they wrote. Obviously, local news. We're on the you know, Channel 7, Channel 4.
Oh, you were on all. I remember that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
And so we were kicked out, I think, for 6 weeks. I tried to get back in. I put a sock hat on my head and tried to come back into school, and I lasted for a few days, and they finally caught on and kicked me out again. What happened was Roger and I were both under 18, so in order to be on stage after 10 o'clock at night, we had to have a theatrical permit. And the state of California refused to give us a permit
Yes.
because we weren't in school. So that's how they forced us to finally cut our hair. We cut our hair, got back in school, and we continued to play. I don't think we ever missed a gig, but
That's so hilarious. You know, it comes to mind like the great guitar player from Y&T, Dave Manichetti, went to Bishop O'Dowd, and there's a legend about he actually put a wig on his head, supposedly. I'd have to ask David that myself when I ever get him on our TV show. So you guys still continue to play even after the Beatles came. So were you covering some of the Beatles songs when you guys played, or what were you guys doing?
Yeah, not too many. Not too many. I mean, the Beatles really were kind of demanding. I record some now. I think I told you I think I recorded something like 16 Beatles songs. But back then, not too many. We did some Rolling Stones. We did a lot of Birds and a lot of animal stuff. We covered a lot of that kind of stuff. And then we did, you know, some original stuff and some stuff that you might never have heard of, you know. But not too many Beatles. Twist and Shout, you know.
Yeah, Twist and Shout's a great song.
that's
It's just fast and it's beautiful.
Exactly.
And it's honoring the Isley Brothers, really, when you do sing that too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely. So at any rate, we were playing when the Beatles hit, just like Barry said, it was something different. That was a total different sound.
Totally different
We
sound.
hadn't heard anything like that before.
No.
And so we all picked up our guitars at that time and started playing.
So, do you remember when you played at the Naval Air Stations? Because you played a lot of different things,
yeah.
and I'm going to ask you had some great times there too. Like we
yeah,
did.
I mean, that's where we cut our teeth, was at the Naval Air Stations.
Exactly.
Alameda, Treasure Island, Hunters Point, you know, even the one Oak Knoll up in Oakland, Moffett Field.
Of course.
We did all those, and some of them we did both the EM Club and we did the Officers Club.
I did those too.
Yeah, so we did more than one, one venue
Right.
at a Naval Air Station.
When we played, and we played with you guys, I'll never forget it was you, Post Raisin Band, and then it became the Morning Rain, and I think we opened up for you guys. I think because we were really young. We had to follow the Post Raisin Band, and they were just explosive. And after we were done, we ran, not necessarily, we had to run to our cars because all these young girls our age, like 13 and 14, were running after us. And so we were running through the building. And I wish I would have stopped and just, but they were trying to actually get our clothes and stuff, and we, thank goodness for Randy Navell, his sister had a car in a station wagon. We jumped in the station wagon and we drove off. It was really, those times, it was just great times. And we were so innocent as players too, Did you ever play at the Roll Arena too? Did you guys do a show?
Roll Arena?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you guys opened up for...
Well, we opened up for them.
Yes.
And the Yardbirds. But the reason we became Peter Wheat was because we had opened for the Turtles, and Barry Carlos saw us perform at the Roll Arena, and after that show he came to us and wanted us to sign on his promotion company as Peter Wheaton and Breadman, because that was his name of his group that he transferred to us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, the Nightcaps.
Yes.
Near the end of their time they were playing, they became Peter Wheat, and they did a couple of shows just to see how the name drew people, and it drew pretty good. But they didn't want to play anymore. They were kind of tired of it, and they were ready to move on to other things. So they hired us to be Peter Wheat. So we were Peter Weed after that, and you know, the rest is history. But it was because of the roller arena, and Bill Quarry.
Bill Quarry, the great Bill Quarry.
Yeah, we just went there. You know, just to me is just maybe a year ago. I went there with Bill to the side of the roller arena, to the entrance. It's a parking lot now, but we went there and took some pictures. Bill and I did, just to commemorate the old days.
It's you know, it's amazing that all the different people that went through the roller arena. A lot of great people. I was too young. I was about 14. I wanted to get in there. And that's how we got joined up with Joyce Conrad. She was the one that brought us into, there was a place called Frieden's. We played a couple shows, and then she took us into, you know, Bancroft Junior High. We played in some junior high schools, and those were really great dances too. I mean, there was so much going on back then. What influenced you? You play guitar, right?
Yes.
What was your first guitar? Can you remember?
You know, like a Silvertone.
Silvertone. Yes, yes. And those are valuable now. People love that.
Yeah, I know. I wish I had it. You know, and I had a little Silvertone amp that my mom got me for Christmas one year. But
they had great designs.
But when we started playing in a band, you know, I knew that wasn't going to cut it.
Right.
So I got a Fender Jag, and the amp was called a Vibreverb. And I don't know if they still make them. It's a big amp, had one 15-inch speaker, open back, very nice amp. But, you know, I blew the speaker out of it.
So with Barry was, he had his own company, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. BLB Promotions.
Yeah, he was great. You know, he's just a great man, and I'm glad that I could finish his little article that he did. One lady, I forget, did a thing, what was that? She was talking about her parents wouldn't let her watch the Beatles, you know, which I felt bad for that person. But in your lifetime, you just came, and you were just, I'm going to change a little channel here. You just came back from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame last summer, right?
Yeah, I think it's spring, yeah.
Can you tell them how they treated you when you went there?
Well, first of all, my son said, I want to take you to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You know, everyone should have a son like this. So he and I flew back to Cleveland, and before we went, I had contacted the library because Bruce Toscher's book is in the library, and so I wanted.
Are all three there?
Two of the three.
Oh.
The second edition and third edition, not the first edition.
Oh yeah, because that's sold out.
So, at any rate, I actually, you know what? I think I told the librarian that I would send her a copy of the first edition. At any rate, so I called the librarian. I said, you know, I'm coming back there. I'm going to be there on Friday and Saturday, and I'd like to visit the library. And she said, the library is closed on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's only open Monday through Thursday. And I said, oh, well, you know, that's too bad. She said, well, I'm a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So she said, we'll hold the library open for you. So when we went there, I hit the button, she buzzed us in, and we spent about an hour in the library. She pulled down all the books that I asked her. Peter Weed is mentioned in The Mystery Train, and it's mentioned in Up Around the Bend, and then the two Peter Tauscher books that are there. So she pulled all those down so, you know, we could have them. I got some pictures with their copy of the book, with my son, with the librarian. Just a great time. Then when we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the actual museum, they could not have been nicer. I recommend it to anybody who likes rock music. And people say that, you know, they have too much new stuff, and I understand that they can't. It can't be just old time rock and roll.
Right.
It's got to be rock and roll.
Present,
yes. Old, everything, and it really is. They changed the exhibits constantly. We thoroughly scoured every single floor, every exhibit. We read everything. Bill Haley's guitar, Jimi Hendrix's guitar, Les Paul's guitar.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, the
Mammoth, the real big one?
Yeah, exactly. It's all there. And I'm telling you, you cannot, if you ever have the opportunity to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's absolutely the place to go.
What was it like for you when you walked in and then the librarians were handing you the book that you're in?
It's kind of heady, but for me, it's just nice that I could show it, could do that for my son. My son never knew, well, he knew, but he never saw me play in a band until the book release concert at the Saddle Rack.
Oh, really?
I think it's 2007, maybe. First time he ever saw me play. First time my wife ever saw me play in a band on a stage. Yeah, absolutely. I've done some solo stuff, and I've backed some people up over the years, but I didn't play in a band all those years. And we did that show, and that was the first time. So for him, because of that, he's really interested in Peter Wheat stuff, and he scours the internet, and anything he finds, he buys and gives to me as presents. I've got some fabulous gifts from him over the years.
From
my son. I've got an unplayed 45, our 45 that we released back in '66.
Oh, so it's mint.
I've got the one that Barry Carlos gave us then. I've still got that one, and it's in rough shape. Then a few years ago, my son got me a display, a pretty nice one in a display case, and it hangs in my music room. Then my son took me to see the Rolling Stones on my 70th birthday. So you think I first saw the Rolling Stones in '65, which is like 13 years before he was born, and then he took me to see the Stones on my 70th birthday. And that year he gave me a copy of our 45, unplayed, in the original jacket. It's pristine.
Of what was it?
Of our record.
Oh my goodness! On your
Baby What's
how
New
great
and
is
all
that?
the time.
What's your son's name?
Cameron.
Cameron. Thumbs up to you, brother. You love your daddy. That's beautiful, man. That is absolutely beautiful. While Robert and I are gonna do a song in a little bit, but I want to this little article. You don't mind if I read this one? This is Tim Dave, and Tim actually used to work at Chabot Las Positas College. Very smart man, a man that believed in goodness and love and peace to our world, and he studied the stars. So this is for Timothy Dave. Hi, Gregory. I see I'm getting very old. I keep forgetting this. When I was still in elementary school, the Beatles came to America. Though I have been immense in their music, from my father's collection of Billie Holiday to Count Basie on record albums, I still rather ignore of music of the world stage. So as I was walking home one day with my best friend, Alan Levine, he mentioned that his favorite group was going to be on TV. They were the Beatles. Of course, I was wondering if they were bugs, but no, he assured me that they were good singers, so I decided to tune in to the Ed Sullivan Show that night on February 9th. The first thing that struck me was that all these teenage girls were cheering, crying, just acting crazy for these four guys with weird haircuts. I guess I was in the minority because they did not really impress me at the time. But as time moved on and things changed, a decade after my first view of these guys from England, I saw how great these musicians and songwriters they were. Just 17, I Want to Hold Your Hand were just some of the hits they sang that night. Little did I know that when I finally did discover their music after a decade later, just how important some of their songs would be to me, and just how much teenagers that they were captured back in that day. So, as we move on, what are you doing now?
Well, I'm retired.
Okay.
Retired, coming up on 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I told you in the past I'm recording songs for my grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
My grandkids are going to inherit all my musical stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I want them to be able to relate it back to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I have more than 500, about 550 videos I put up on YouTube for them. And so that's I do that every morning.
Mm-hmm.
Every single morning I get up about 4:30
Mm-hmm.
and go out to the kitchen. The wife's sleeping still, and
That's
and I
fine, that's
practice.
fine.
I practice put an arrangement together of different songs that I want to leave for my grandkids. They're all very young. The oldest one is 6 years old.
Oh, wow. That is young.
Knox Wilder, and the little girl is Ace Rose, and she's just turned 2.
Wow.
So they're going to inherit all the stuff, and I want them, when they finally get old enough to appreciate it, to be able
They'll
to say, "Look,
understand.
there's a guitar that Grandpa gave me. That's him playing it."
That's Papa.
Yeah. Well, they
That's
call me
Papa.
Grampy.
They call you Grampy?
Well, my oldest grandson Knox, he calls me Grandpa Fix It.
My grandsons call me Papa, and then my wife's name is Mimi, and it's just, my daughter is, I just love my kids. They're going to spend some days with us again. I love them staying at home, coming to our house, and they're just, it's, you know how it is. They energize you. They totally energize you. So Bob, we're gonna probably sing a song pretty soon. But what's interesting about you've continually just followed your path in music. I've seen some of your stuff, and you get in your little studio or your music room or whatever that is. Is that your man cave or a music room?
Yeah.
You got a lot of pictures in the back, and there's a lot of guys. We just talked about Bill Correa. I'm trying to get Bill Correa, and I want to talk to him about, because he did Altamont.
Oh yeah,
He did Altamont. I got to get him on. So when you're going through, and that's beautiful that your grandson is the oldest. He's 6, you said. So you have any from your son?
That's him.
Oh,
his kids. We had the one son, and his kids are Knox, and then the middle one's Wilder, and then the baby is Ace.
Oh my goodness, that's so beautiful.
Yeah,
they're precious.
Grandkids are the best.
They're precious. They're so exactly, and you're passing the torch to them. And brother, it's just beautiful, and you're a beautiful person. So, is there anything else you'd like to say about the Beatles? How they influenced you? Because we're going to be getting in.
No, I mean I couldn't say anything that hasn't been said 1,000 times.
Who was your favorite Beatle? Or did you have a favorite Beatle?
Probably John. Back then, I really have learned that George is really, really an excellent musician and songwriter. I mean, he was beyond good. George or John and Paul together were greater than they were separate.
Right.
Both of them they played off each other just exactly right.
So you've seen the video that came out last year of Then and Now. Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then what's interesting is the book that we're in together is Now and Then. I couldn't believe when I'm going Then and Now. Wait a sec. And I went to get our 3 books, and I said ours was
Now and Then.
Now and Then. And I was going like, wow, that again, it shows Bruce's amazing thing, what he did and got that, and then got to be able to do 3 books. And the first book, it's worth. I was in Half Books one day, and I walked in, and it was in behind the glass, and it was $125.
Is that right?
And I said, hey, could I look at that book? And she goes, yeah. And I said, I'm in that book. She goes, no, you're not. I said, oh, yes, I am. And I said, there's a lot of my friends that are in this book. So. I love having you on it. And
well, the second edition's even better because it's my face is on the cover.
That's right. And you're up on that little sand edge.
I'm the tallest one.
Yeah. So you know what? Before we're going to close the show, and then I'm going to do a little thing. But let's sing that song we were talking about. And we'll roll on that. We might go extend it a little bit, but you have, I think the song that you had was Hold Me Tight, am I correct?
Yeah.
I know it's somewhere, but here it is. It's right here because we got to do this too. We got to do a little. So let's just roll in this, and then while you can keep playing, just keep playing the chords because I'm going to make a little thing here for, we're going to promote a book here. So you want to start it? You ready to go?
It feels so right now.
Hold me tight. Tell me I'm the only one, and then I might never be the lonely one. So hold
Me tight
me tight
tonight,
tonight.
tonight.
It's you. Hold me tight. Let me go on loving you, and then tonight
Making
love to only you. So hold
me tight
me tight
tonight,
tonight.
tonight.
It's you. Hey, I like to thank all the millions of Beatles fans. I like to dedicate this show to you. And I also like to dedicate this to one of my very great friends who just passed, David Silver. This is for you, brother. Also, I have a book by Zach Papachristis, the most dedicated and decorated coach in Chabot Las Positas history. This is his book. It's called Papachristis, From Near to Death to Becoming a Legend. Zach, we love you and thank you for letting us have this book. Peace and love to you. And then we're going to finish it out with Hold Me Tight.
So hold me
Tight.
tight. Tell me
I'm the only one, and then I might never be the only one. So hold me tight, me tight tonight. It's you. I like to thank everybody. I like to thank Sujoy Sakara for being such a great man. And we're going to another party at his house. So God bless you all. This is Gregory Correa from Harmonics, along with the legendary Bob Birdwell from Peter Wheaton the Breadman. We love you. God bless you. And keep listening to the Beatles, because you know what? There's nobody like the Beatles that come close. God love you. Peace and love.